Take a chance with us. Online today. AART. Art Radio Today.
That was
Very good, Joe. Very good.
I
Hey, everybody.
given the fact, Joe, that you worked on that for 3 weeks, I think you could have done better. But that was an hour. We asked Joe to just do a new. Just a second ago, we asked him to sing the intro, and he made that up. And so now we've got a new intro.
He's been busy out, chalking up sidewalks and having a great time. Sharing the love, the art love.
Yes. Well, you want to introduce us, David?
Good to see you guys. Hi, everybody.
Hey, guy.
Welcome to Art Radio Today, or whatever we're calling it these days. I'm David Reed. I'm here with Tom Galvin and Joe Moy. Good to see you all.
We're not. It's good to see you, and we're not. The name change has to do with the fact that we're not literally on the radio anymore,
right?
And so we're the Appeal Democrat or I'm sorry, the Appeal is calling us all about art.
All about art, all about art, or all about the arts, and that's kind of nice too. But it doesn't have a snappy little acronym like art,
right? Yeah, it has AAA, which I don't know.
Serendipity has it that we have on today our show the originator of Art Radio Today,
the man who suggested the title, and
exactly,
and has kind of scripted every show since. We haven't had to do a thing.
That's right. We're talking about the one, the only, the incomparable Stoney Meager.
Everything he sends us our script about 3 days before the show, and Stoney is our guest today, and we're looking forward to that. He's pretty cool guy, doing a whole lot of very good stuff around town in his own business and his own creativity, but also with his linkage to YubaSutterArts. So we're looking forward to talking to him.
Tom, honestly, the way that you just shifted all the blame for everything that's happened in our show onto Stoney, that was admirable. Well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you. There's got to be a scapegoat. I'm always looking for a scapegoat.
Stoney has big shoulders.
There you go. And
he can handle this.
Let me add one more reason that I'm going to need a scapegoat. I'm going to do weird news right now. And if that's okay with you two gentlemen, this week's weird news is called Gruesome Grief. And some might call this week's weird news kind of grim, kind of morbid, and I certainly hope so, because today we're discussing works of art resulting from loss. Loss of a lover, loss of a life, whatever. So much sadness and suffering reflected in the many paintings, sculptures, and acts of performance art projects inspired by loss. And, we've all felt this, and yet looking at all this grief, I couldn't help but chuckle. Grieving is very sad.
Love your attitude, man.
Great. We look for some things that we can find to get us through these tough times. I just want to say grieving is very sad. And I have other deep insights to share just as thought-provoking as that statement, grieving is very sad. But that's for another week. Once ago, this is a true story. I overcame a very grief-stricken situation when a girl I really was attracted to blew me off like a bad habit. I was in and I was out, and it was very difficult. She dumped me unceremoniously, which begs the question, what would a dumping ceremony actually look at? But again, not today's topic. How would we define that? I don't really know. A dumping ceremony, but I was dumped, and it was unceremonious, and I try to work.
Hey, the guy is gone.
Yeah. Here's a singing telegram. Your uncle is dead. So I'm working through my grief, writing these morbid, sad songs, which is just making me more grief-stricken. And then I looked at my pathetic, lovelorn, sad sack demeanor, and wrote a song making fun of my rejected self. And suddenly, I was over it. I was cool. I was, it's. I think that 19th century Spanish painter Francisco Goya, who depicted his grief in his paintings, could have taken a page out of my book. And with that, Shantae, if you would, I'd like to show you Saturn devouring his son.
Oh, that.
Gee,
I remember that one. I was wondering what it was.
Oh boy, that's it's striking, frightening, and it is an incredible work of art, is it not?
That's very nice.
But at Francisco, it's really grim. And I'm wondering if you ever thought about, like taking a page out of my book, just write a little caricature of yours, draw a little funny drawing of yourself. I mean, make people laugh, make a little self-effacing comedy, a little wit, maybe do a little stand-up, the next time, because, I have to make this observation as a therapist. If Francisco Goya is using this kind of artwork to work through his depression and his sadness, I kind of think that showing a God eating his naked firstborn is not the best self-help strategy that Francisco could have. I don't think that works out a lot of things. I mean, but it's boy, I can't say I like it all that much. So let's move to another one, if we could, Shantae. Maybe. Okay, here we have. Who do you think drew this one?
Descartes.
It's Descartes. Or you want another card? It's actually
Edvard Munch.
It's Vincent van Gogh.
Oh,
Vincent van Gogh. And you want to know what it's called? It's called, aptly enough, "Skull of a Skeleton with Burning Cigarette." Skull of a skeleton. That's not easy to say. Skull of a skeleton.
I like it though. Skull of a Skeleton. It'd be a great band name.
Yeah, Skull of a Skeleton.
We're working on some tobacco education programs for students. This might have to work its way into the program.
Yeah. How would you ever have thought of Vincent van Gogh being part of your smoking cessation?
I've never seen this before. Wow.
Yeah. Well, art critics have devoted years to analyzing this painting, and they're looking for hidden meaning. But the best source of information was actually Vincent's brother Theo, who claimed, "Hey, it was just a joke." That's what Theo said. It was just a joke, and it's not surprising because that Vinnie Van Gogh, he's a million laughs. Let's face it, he got to be doing stand-up himself. He always, if I'm down and I need a chuckle, I always turn to Vincent Van Gogh. So Vincent would have supported my approach to grief by using humor, and so the question is, did this help him get over his grief? And probably not. As evidence, all we have to do is notice the empty place where there used to be an ear. And that suggests that he was still working through his grief. Our critics have devoted years to...
Wait, is it the loss of the ear or the uncle?
Well, I would say, you look at Vincent and you think, how'd that funny painting, that joke painting that Theo said you told that joke? Did that raise you? How did that do to the parasympathetic nervous setting? Did your internal dynamics move upwards or downwards? As you painted this, did you get a chuckle out of this, or what was it? And are you doing better after expunging all this pain and suffering? After turning your humor into a painting, and then you look at his ear and there's nothing there, and you think, no, you didn't. It really wasn't all that therapeutic for you. So I don't know what more to say about that, except to move on to the next painting. And I'm going to hold off, and actually, Shantae, if you wouldn't actually show this next painting, I want to just say some things about Henry Hargreaves. He was contracted to draw portraits of the last meal of prisoners. And these were prisoners on death row, obviously the last meal. And so this kindness is juxtaposed with the cruelty of imminent execution. And, when you've got about a half an hour to live, that is a cause for grief, and you think, gee, how are you doing? Well, I'm going to be dead in 15 minutes. So, I got a few issues. But for any of us, the execution is kind of a grief. But you give them this meal, and you give them this meal. And so Henry Hargreaves decided to take photos, or somebody commissioned him to take photos of the last meal of prisoners. And that it's,
sorry, Tom, execution is kind of a grief. Honestly, I just gotta bring this up.
Yeah, it's just a mood that you get in when they're going to kill you. You can't help but get a little down. And so there's nothing real funny about this whole Henry Hargreaves thing, except, in my view, the title of the paintings. These series of paintings. The title is "No Seconds." I kind of thought that was
kind of dark, Tom.
Hey, Ted Bundy, you hungry?
Very rich. I like it. I like it a lot.
So no seconds. Maybe do we have no seconds up there, Shantae? Is there anything you got on no seconds? Maybe we don't have pictures of that. But there you go. Yeah. Hey, Ted Bundy, what do you think? Huh? Pretty good. So
wow.
So now moving on, we have Dennis Tarasov's Untitled. He has an Untitled. Which to me is a lack of imagination about what to call a painting. But this is a really strange one. There's apparently, starting in Florida, Tarasov is lampooning a movement, a kind of a rising trend of gangsters, actual thugs, criminals, mob people, and everything, who require, in some cases, 10-foot tall headstones in order to aggrandize their narcissistic selves in death like they did in life. Tarasov grieves for all the people whose tombstones are dwarfed by criminal ginzos with egos that outlive their actual days on Earth. And so this one depicts the typical sleazy bad actor with a posh car in the background. Underneath the tombstones, however, is a pile of ash, just like underneath every other tombstone in the graveyard. So look at this. These are kind of the things that people are actually putting up. And finally, we have The Lovers, The Great Wall Walk by Marina Abramovich and Ule. And so these two artists were performance artists, and they had a prior collaboration. They were lovers, and their first collaboration was inspired by what they're called their physicality, intimacy, and gender dynamics of their relationship. In the work was called Breathing In and Breathing Out. The artists locked mouths for almost 20 minutes, relying on each other's breath to stay alive, which Gay thought, wouldn't that cause carbon monoxide poisoning? I don't know, but then they didn't make it to 20 minutes, so something. I mean, one of them started gasping for breath, but then they conceived.
It would hurt.
I would think, and
lock your mouth to something, even if it was not another person, it would still hurt.
And after 20 minutes, you can brush your teeth 3 or 4 times, use a lot of mouthwash, but 20 minutes locked in somebody else's mouth, the sweetness and the perfumey kind of flavor, it just goes away after a while, and you're sucking dirty air from somebody else's lungs. It just didn't seem to me all that.
Thank you,
Tom.
Thank you for testing this for us, Tom. We so appreciate it, honestly.
You all saw Saturn devouring his. I didn't think I could. That's a great work of art. So their most ambitious project was to walk the Great Wall of China. He's starting at one end, she's starting at the other, and meeting in the middle to express their love for each other. And that's not uncommon. I mean, Gay and I will sit around, we'll get up in the morning, we'll have a cup of coffee, and she'll say, what do you want to do? And I'll say, well, we haven't walked the Great Wall of China for a while. And she'll say, well, I've got some students today, maybe over the weekend. But they actually did this and to celebrate their love affair. And he started one end, she starts at the other. And the only way they kept in touch was by cell phone, which was a bad idea because by the time they reached the middle, they had split up. And so that kind of put the kibosh on the original plan. But they did restore a sense of art to it, as he just kept walking his way and she kept on walking her way. And that was the end of that. So that song I mentioned at the beginning of the thing about, when somebody broke up with me and kicked me, and I was all the grim songs and sad songs. And then I looked at my sad situation and I thought, I'm imagining all these things my ex-girlfriend is thinking about me. Why don't I just take all those things I'm imagining and put them into this song? It's called Heart to Heart. She don't need to have no heart to heart. She don't need to talk. Wait a minute, let me turn some things on. Can you hear everything here? Gaze diligently set this up.
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
Sounds good.
She don't need to have no heart to heart. She don't need to talk just one last time. You aren't gonna win her back with words this girl don't want you on her mind. It's not that your breath is all that bad. It's not that you're ugly or lousy in bed or poor as a church mouse. No, it's all these things that killed your romance dead. Hit the road, get out of there right now. Don't look back, don't stop to take a bow. Anything you say will only cause her to upchuck. Pal, you're out of luck. You got nothing left now but your pride and all the money you'll save staying home. You can wear a false front like ex-lovers do. Say they love to be alone, 'cause she don't need to have no heart-to-heart. She don't need to talk just one last time. You ain't gonna win her back with words. This girl don't want you on her mind. This girl don't want you on her mind. This girl don't want her on your mind. I don't want you on her. Wouldn't you think the last two words I'd blow it? On her mind.
All right.
You know, that song makes me think of Saturn eating his naked child.
That was my intent. That was my hope. That's what I was going for. That's weird news for this Sunday.
Brilliant, Tom. I'm telling you, what a collection. Every 2 weeks you crank one of those gems out.
You know, I'm amazed at how sometimes, I mean, you go through those steps to get to the song, and somehow you tie that all in, and it's like, wow. Well, it's very impressive.
Well, Joe, you write a lot. You write poems. You write songs. Do you have a routine? Is there some schedule you're on, or it's just whenever the muse moves you?
I'm one of those people where it's I really think honestly that in the back of my mind, my subconscious is a generator, because somebody will go, "Hey, did you ever think about this, or that?" And I'll go, "No," and then a month and a half later, I've got half of a song that shows up. Okay. Or a lot of times it's in the shower or the car. I just start riffing, making stuff up because I'm bored, sitting there waiting for everybody to go.
Do you have a recorder handy or paper and pencil? Yeah. How do you grab it? Because it's gone if you know.
Yes, they do. They're very ephemeral.
Yeah.
They just disappear if you don't. I have a little thing called Music Memo on my phone. And honestly, I can literally sing what I come up with.
Sure.
And it'll apply chords to it.
Wow.
It's hit or miss.
That's cool.
Yeah. But it adds a bass track, all kinds of stuff. It's really a cool app. But Music Memo is what it's called. So
I love it.
Are we going to maybe later on be talking about some of Joe's songs that are going to be placed into
a performance? Part of the upcoming show, you bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm having luck with the videos. I do got to work on some copyright issues with some of them that are too close to the real thing. So congratulations, guys. But,
they found you.
I'm pretty sure I can. I let them know it's a parody. It's a Weird Al. It's not the real song.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's a license for that. But yeah, I'm making headway with the subtitles, and I'm really excited.
Cool. Yeah, we'll definitely get into that deeper. Should we bring on our special guest, or
that guy?
High time to do that.
Waiting in the green room for us.
Our old friend,
the one, the only.
Stoney Meager.
There he is.
Mayor or Meager?
I'm sorry. Did I mispronounce your last name?
It's Meager. Yeah. Not to be confused with Marr, my friend Patrick Marr or Bill Marr.
Okay.
Can you hear us, Stoney?
Yes, sir. Now you can.
Oh, there you are. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
Good to see you.
Good to see you guys too. I like being blamed for everything. I love it.
Oh,
hey. Oh, we'll all do
I didn't think I'd see you this soon.
Yeah. Let me just kick things off by saying I first met Stoney, was it 4 years ago when you wandered into the art gallery?
Yeah, it was probably like 2018, I think, around there.
Is that about what it was? Just 2 years ago.
Right after the flood. Maybe it's 17. It's right after the flood.
You were
17.
Fairly new to town. We were having a Chamber of Commerce grand reopening. We'd done some work, and Marnie cooked up a reopening for us. You wandered in, introduced yourself, and you're taking pictures. And I'm going, okay, we'll keep in touch. And we did. And gosh, since then, we've collaborated on a whole bunch of projects. You've created some projects totally out of the blue, like the Art of the Tattoo, where you photographed folks and showing off their artwork. And then you also captured short videos of each person talking about that that artwork and what it meant to them and what inspired them to get it. And then those that you embedded them in QR codes on each image. And these are great big 20 by 30s that we had in the gallery. So really kind of a living art show, if you will. And then you came up with that crazy idea for Naked Gardening Day, which turns out is a real thing, World Naked Gardening Day. And you said, can we do this? And I introduced you to a couple of people whose names shall be, remain nameless for this show, but kind of got the ball rolling. And
hey, you could look this up. It's still on Facebook.
That's right. Sure. And lo and behold, you come up with 20, 25 people that wanted to be part of this. And of course, everything was appropriate, definitely PG 13-ish. But, pretty much all of it, but beautifully photographed in different garden settings and people just out doing what they love to do in the garden. So another amazing, unique event that you created. You've been part of the Murals of Live Oak. You created a whole series of giant 4-foot by 8-foot murals featuring residents. These were photographs that we had enlarged, supersized them. They're all over town now, again, with QR codes, with the narrative those people provided. Hey, I live in Live Oak. I've been here all my life. And just telling a little bit about their story. So lots and lots of things. You've covered Harvest the Arts for us, photographed it, drone footage. And anyway, we really appreciate that. We're talking about some new projects and programs and, moving things forward. So thanks for all of your hard work and all that artistry that you've brought to town. What are you doing to make a living?
Well, we're still doing a lot. The going back to what I think the very first project we worked on was Portraits of Veterans.
Oh gosh, I've completely skipped over that. Thank you.
The very first one that we started, and we started kicking around ideas, and I think that's where we started the art too. You and I had the same kind of passion about that, and it took us a year or two, and we pulled it off, and that other things, and then the other big one that's really meaningful to me was teaching. Right, the stuff we did at the continuation schools and then juvenile hall. That was just amazing. The juvenile hall stuff we did.
And for just so folks know, this was part of what's called a Jump Starts grant that we've gotten a couple of years running from the California Arts Council to provide arts classes for at-risk and also system-engaged youth. And Stoney went in and taught digital photography and then put on an art gallery presentation for these students, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was just besides the photos, just seeing these kids and hearing the stories, what they're going through. And, there's a lot they couldn't say or you couldn't ask. I mean, there's a lot of restrictions, but, you picked up a little bit here and there. So it was just really cool to be part of that. Same with the art of the tattoo. You've got these big burly tattoo, hardcore looking guys, and you're doing a video of them and they're crying.
That's great.
The stories and the women that would tell their stories of why they have their tattoos. It was fun. I mean, just more than just the art part of it, but connecting with people was amazing. And then we talked, as all of that's happened, the last thing we worked on was that the comedy stuff.
Yeah.
And COVID killed that for us, but we had huge success with the comedy.
The theater was packed. The Burroughs Theater people were swinging from the rafters. It was incredible.
Yeah, and we had I think we already had 3 more shows booked out for this year. None of it happened, and that kind of led me another direction. But what do I do for a living? Keeping busy is I would say 90%, 95% of what I do is real estate photography. That's where the living comes from. But I still do other types of photography. But that's the bulk of why people know me, or I'm out so much is the real estate stuff.
I hear you're a top second wedding photographer. Is that true?
I am. There's a
what?
Yeah. So my son was married, and through the wedding process, he's like, "Dad, we're not going to hire you to do photos." I'm like, "Okay, that was kind of a slap in the face." But he said, "We want you to marry us. We want you to and I'm like, all right. So I go online and take this thing, and I'm, now technically, I am an ordained minister.
I'm sorry.
So,
I'm sorry.
I would go to your sermon. Honestly, it would be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know why that caused me to laugh, Stoney.
I don't.
Oh, it's a Father Stoney.
Father Stoney.
Yeah. Okay.
Father Stoney.
That's right. I love that. Oh, that's so cool.
So people only do second weddings or third weddings.
Right.
But because of my entrepreneurial, kind of approach to things, I started thinking and said, I'm going to start a new ad campaign that says, you know what, I'll marry you for your first wedding because I'm ordained, so we'll do that. And I'll take pictures of your second wedding, but if you book everything now, I'll give you a discount.
Wow. Now that's marketing. That's marketing. Well, Stoney, you're a business guy. You're demonstrating this just during this conversation. You weren't always a photographer. I mean, you kind of came out of I know you've enjoyed photography for a long time, but you were kind of in the corporate world, right? Logistics and stuff, or supply chain. Supply chain
at Cisco Systems out in the Bay Area for many, many years. And, I got older and made too much money, and they love to let people go to that point. And, that time came for me, and luckily I had started my photography business a couple of years before, doing weddings, doing portraits, kind of, dabbling with it. And so got laid off and found a job within a week with one of their competitors. And about 9 months later, I kind of looked at my wife and said, I don't want to do this anymore. It's very stressful. The Bay Area is just a cesspool of just go, traffic, people. And we had a friend that moved out to Marysville, and he said, hey, come join us. And we came and checked it out. And my mother-in-law.
I was going to say that was the connection. There was somebody here that you knew, and that's how I wound up here. I knew people here, and I said, this is kind of cool. Yeah.
So I just basically said, we're going to retire. So my wife retired 100%. The part of the story, she got laid off the same day. So here we are both without a job. And just said, you know what, we're just going to take a risk, a half-baked plan, and moved out here. And I was thinking about it one day is I did that thing at Lyndhurst High School where we did the education. I was teaching the classes.
Yep.
And I was thinking, as I was doing some research, it was interesting is at the time, Marysville and Yuba City, I think the unemployment rate was something like 50%. It was just really high unemployment. And I'm thinking, so here I am going to go start a brand new business in a city that has this huge unemployment rate. What am I thinking? And
pray for an economic recovery, right?
Right. And we turned it into just a huge business. So I'm on a second career, not a retirement, kind of take a few years here and there. I've grown the photography business pretty big. I saw some numbers from the Real Estate Association in the last few months that it gives a list of who's the top agents. Who's doing. Yes,
Stoney,
sir.
Haven't you asked your son to help you in with your photography business?
Yeah, he started shooting for me this year. He was impacted by COVID, got laid off from his job, and I said, come home, let's sort it out. And in that process, he got his real estate license. He just got it, actually physically last week or yesterday. So he's into the ranks of a realtor.
And he lives here now too?
He lives with me right now.
Sweet.
But yeah, I turned this into a huge, last year I had 3 photographers working for me.
Wow.
This year I brought one back along with my son. So I've got 3 photographers, and we just turned it into a real big business and kind of realized that of the top agents, the top 10 agents in Yuba City, in the Sutter area, I shoot for 9 of them.
Wow.
So, we probably are the #1 real estate photography company in the Yuba Sutter area, just based on those numbers. That we are busy. We probably average 5-6 shoots every day, and stay busy.
And you use drones as well? Sorry, a drone operator. Are you an operator? Can you do it?
Drone operator. In fact, one of the things that was challenging, my license expires this month. I'm thinking, how am I going to go renew it, because everything's closed? You can't go into, when we're on lockdown. So I actually today spent a ton of time online trying to figure out how to do this. And the FAA has put together something to where I can take an online course, it renews me for 6 months. And then hopefully COVID from there will be over, and then I can go back in and re-register. So I am up to date on my license, which was a huge thing I was stressing about. So I'm renewed and we're all good. But drone is a huge part of what I do.
Well, and you mentioned, Stoney, that it's a great accolade that you're working with 9 of the 10 top realtors in the community. And I just know from working with you, you're an absolute top of the line professional in everything that you do, whether it's teaching or cranking out art murals or whatever it is. You're a pro, which isn't always the case with artsy types. You know, some people struggle with, like I said, the business of it, but your follow through. And I'm not sitting here just trying to blow smoke, but you know, as a businessman to businessman kind of thing, I come from that background, and I just so respect that and appreciate that about you. So
well, I appreciate that, Dave. And it is, right? I kind of, as I look at this, the product I deliver is photography. The service I provide is customer service. You have to show up on time. You've got, you know, there's so many behind the scene things that go on, you know, to run a business, from taxes to finances to, you know, how you're going to conduct your business, where you're going to get. I mean, there's a lot. So it's actually become the photography's come second nature. Everything else is running a business. And
exactly.
Pretty successful at.
No, that's great. I'm so excited to have watched your growth and hear those kinds of numbers about the community you're working with, and you know, you can get a lot of button pushers out there, but like you said, the follow up and the customer service that you're selling yourself basically, and that's a pretty good product from my experience.
But I don't have enough to do already, but we did start Blue Dream Productions this year, so I did start.
Right, yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, so you know, I broke my business into two kind of segments. One is the photography side, which is, you know, primarily real estate, but then I started doing the video side. So it's just video. Blue Dream Productions is all about video, and part of that was we started doing some comedy. You know, I went out to some of the local comedy places and tried doing stand-up comedy, and found that, you know, to be honest, kind of suck at it. Didn't, but it was fun.
Wait,
I mean, doing it.
You made some good friends too. I remember. Yeah.
But because I can organize and get things going, that I think got us into, well, you know what, I'm going to produce a show. And we did that with the help of David and the community, and, you know, Rudy and Randy and Cameo. You know, we got this whole show together and pulled it off that, you know, people were thinking no one's going to, you know, it's just, we sold the theater out. And then we released more tickets and sold out again.
It was one of my favorite. I met the Burroughs a lot when the World's open, and it was one of my favorite nights at the Burroughs. It was a total delight.
And so it's fun.
It's not the same, but if you ever want to do a virtual in the meantime, let us know.
Yeah, I've done a few of those, and for me personally, it just doesn't hit the same. You know?
I know you don't have that. Right. I'm sure it's the same for musicians, right? It's tough to not have that feedback.
Yeah. So that's on the back burner. I don't think I'm just waiting for things to change, but you know, in the meantime, you know, we invested a lot, or you know, I invested a lot of money in equipment and promotions and advertising, and had to come up with some way to do that. And so what I started doing is hitting Ellis Lake with a fishing pole. I just started doing some fishing, and well, this is kind of fun. And again, here I am fishing by myself, thinking, how can I turn this into a business?
So, good for you.
As I'm sitting there,
help pay for all your bad habits. Come on.
Most people are the opposite. It's like, how can I get away from my business? Yes, I can go fishing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So as I'm at Ellis Lake watching these boats go by all the time, headed to some bigger waters, I'm like, I really want a boat. So I'm like, how am I get a boat? You know, so I call my tax person and say, I want to get a boat. How can I write this off? She's like, you can't. It's a boat. Well, what if I start doing fishing videos from the boat? She's like, well, then now you can write it up. It's a business.
There you go.
So that's what we did.
There you go.
I'm taking notes here.
A brand called Old Farts Fishing. It's not even a business. It's just a brand, and it's, you know, Old Farts Fishing, produced by Blue Dream Productions, and we're doing videos.
You're good. You're out talking to, you know, local retailers. You're at Johnson's Bait and Tackle, and
huge supporter.
T-shirts.
The Old Farts, you know, we got Phoenix Ridge as a sponsor. The thing is, I got sponsors now, which is kind of cool. I got, you know, Marine Innovations over there. Hallwood is a sponsor, and you know, so I've got people reaching out. BFS is coming on board as a sponsor.
Wow. Hey,
that are helping us, you know, promote and get their name out there and help us do what we do. And we're not even catching fish yet. I found out I'm as a good fisherman as I am a comedian.
It's all right.
Whose fish are you taking those pictures of then?
It's the ones we just find floating there. I'll find a guy.
Hey, you put a couple of ends of a battery, you know, jumper cable in the lake. I've talked to people that used to do that for different reasons. You know, they float up and then
on there.
Yeah,
look at the size of this one.
I grew up in South Carolina. They would use a half stick of dynamite.
Yeah, you know, the same idea. Right.
Makes for a good dinner, really quick too.
Yeah.
You know about, speaking of fishing, country style, do you know about grabbling?
Grabbling.
Grabbling. That's your homework assignment.
Isn't that where they stick the hand in the?
Look up grabbling.
Okay.
Grabbling.
All right.
It's a real thing, and you might want to have some fun with that. I think you could come up with no, you're not buying that, Jim?
I'm not doing it.
You know, it eliminates the middleman. No fishing rods. It's all kind of hand catching.
It's kind of like
a process. It's serious. It's not like a snipe hunt. It's a real thing.
Yeah, you need a fish with a mouth big enough you can get your hand in it.
Like a catfish.
Yeah,
200-300 pound catfish by hand. Yes. It's something else. Anyway, I digress. But
no, you don't, Dave. It's right in line with it was what a sequence it was. No, can we get back to Stoney now? That we're I know I was on my cell phone trying to define that word, but well, let's go ahead and move on.
Lots of videos. There's lots of videos.
Yeah. So what do you want to do when the world opens back up, Stoney?
I want to jump back. I want to get back on the comedy thing. I want to try that. Not that comedy is an art. It's a way to express yourself. It's a hard thing to pull off these days because we live in such a sensitive time. Things you can't say anything anymore that's not going to offend somebody. There's so many things that tend to be off limits, and it just becomes very difficult to do. But we're still going to venture into that and see if we can. It's just people got to laugh. People have to laugh. Yeah, and you got to open up and realize that it's got to be careful. There's a tight line of be considered racist or whatever it wants to be, but it's I don't know. I don't even know what it's just how do you keep it clean and fun and light, but people take things so personal, it's hard to do.
Have you ever considered acting?
Yeah, I have. Not that I would be good at it, but yeah.
No, you're totally off base. I mean, I've seen you do your comedy work and stuff, and acting is similar. You have to assume a character. You have to go somewhere, and you already do that.
I think it would be really cool, and Dave and I talked about this, is I wanted to do a stage play of Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke.
Right.
I think I could pull off Tommy Chong. You in?
Yeah. Totally.
I'd play him.
It's just a classic funny movie, and I think it would be good to take parts of it, shorten it up, and make it a stage play. It would be just amazing.
And some of the dichotomies of where we are now compared to when that show came out. Because honestly, real quick, when I took my mom when I got out of boot camp in the Navy, she asked where I wanted to go, and I wanted to go see that at the movies, along with the movie Hair. Yeah. She made it through Hair, but about the first 10 minutes, she went out and waited for me in the lobby, Up in Smoke. So, and I think this was in the early 80s.
What was that? Yeah.
So
how funny.
Yeah. So there's a lot of directions, but I do, I'd like to get back into the comedy thing. There's a lot of opportunity, I think, in Yuba City and Marysville to bring some entertainment back into this. And that's the momentum we had, right? We didn't really have a big comedy venue. People are going up to Chico for comedy. People are going to Sacramento. And then people in those two areas are passing right through our little towns here. And that was the theory, was like, well, if we can start something here, both of those communities don't have to go as far. They can go halfway and get something really great. And that's what we were building. And then it just kind of collapsed.
And you did a great job putting that show together. You had done your homework. You'd been out to all those venues, and we had our local talent, which was great. Then you brought in Dylan and I forget the other fellow's name, but I mean, really great, fun people. And there's clearly a market for it. And I didn't know him well, but Angel Diaz, who you all knew him, I think Joe was here for a number of years. He used to do comedy events, and
Gabriel.
And we knew there was a market for it. So when we get back to open, we'd love to kick it off again.
And with any luck, we'll have a venue here in Yuba City with the Sutter Theater. So I'm with you. I'm salivating for our opportunity to do that again.
I thought it's because somebody raised a stake.
Yeah,
well, that too.
So close to us, right? And as they bring talent in, some of that talent comes in the night before or a few days before. And I've heard stories of other places where, this big, comedian will come in, go perform in a small venue on the lowdown, not tell anybody. And that word starts to get out when you make those connections.
You just gotta hook them in, bring them in. So
and provide the atmosphere that they need, and that's, you guys had it going at Cellar and Suds before that closed down.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. You guys are really rocking it over there.
That was a lot of great times. But you got to build those connections, and when that opens up, and I was going to a lot of comedy shows and elbows and shaking hands and just trying to get to know these people, so that way when we did have this, it's like, hey, when they come in town, you now have their cell phone, you have their, hey, why don't you come perform down here?
Sure.
So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
We'll get there again. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Gosh, what else? What else you got up your sleeve?
That's a lot. I think you and I got some projects coming up that we're gonna be working on here pretty soon.
Yeah. Tony's helping us with some video and some QR codes for our Japanese American, the Marysville Assembly Center project. Some big murals are going to go out there. He's going to help us with some technology out there and also documentation of the construction process in early December and ultimately the opening reception, whenever that is, sometime next year. But that's a pretty important project. So, yeah.
And spring is coming, for 2021, and Tom and I are looking forward to the naked gardening shoot. Well, I'm sure we can do COVID safety.
Yeah. So we were talking before COVID hit. We actually started the plans. We were going to do naked farming.
Yeah.
Take the same thing, do everything on a farm, do equipment and tractors and
heavy equipment. Oh yeah.
I had the farm lined up and everything. I mean, he was not sure, but I think I know these are very generous and fun people, so they would be along with it. But yeah,
I want to be able to shoot when you do the shaker.
There you go.
Somebody driving, and they're doing the shaking. You get that still.
I'm not going to volunteer for any to model in the naked gardening show because I do have a small garden. It's not the only small thing that I have, but I'm afraid that I would wind up looking more like Skull of a Skeleton with burning cigarette. But I'd be glad to look at other people's taking their clothes off.
Well tied in, sir. Really well done.
Kelly Ridge Creek, by the way. My cousin Kelly Stoney. She's one of your
photographed her. Yeah.
Kelly and Matt. I really saw way more of them than I wanted. No, I thought they were the standout models. I have to say
they were the poster child.
They were the poster child.
I went to the reception, and I must admit, the staging was impeccable because the foliage and the stuff and the garden were so much a part of the picture, and the nakedness was kind of like it wasn't the thing. It was well done. Well done.
Yeah, it's really artistic, very beautiful and artistic.
Well, and it's funny you mentioned Kelly and Matt. When Stoney first brought this idea up, he said, "Do you know anybody that might be?" Well, I said, the funny thing was they were the first couple that popped into my mind.
Yeah.
And they got together, and sure enough, that was a beautiful photograph.
We did pictures the year before when it was just the two of them, and we floated that out there to see what the response would be.
That's right.
Such a great response to it is we did the whole show with the whole gallery and everything the next year.
So many people had so much fun with that. Not only the viewers, but also the people who were being filmed, photographed. It was just a great project.
I was personal friends with 3 of your models, and they all were really they were chortling about how much fun it was and how
chortling. Yes. Great word, chortling. That's what they were doing.
The last time I chortled, my wife did the Heimlich. It was okay.
And that's chortling. As a photographer, when you're doing this, right? It's that, Joe. It's the feedback of that people are comfortable. Here it is, a guy with a camera. I didn't meet any of these guys ahead of time, and then they're going to take their clothes off in front of a guy that's just. But it's all art. It's all professional. It's not creepy. You make them feel comfortable, and they have a good time. And that's what it's about. The thing that I like about working with YubaSutter Arts is it keeps me grounded. You can get wrapped up.
We love you. We love you, Stoney.
Stoney, you are doing so much. You are adding so much value to this town. That's kind of my sense of a worth of an individual is overall you're adding or subtracting value. As you go from your day to day, you are adding so much value to this town. You're a local treasure, and thanks so much for all you're doing. All the stuff you're doing is just delighting a lot of people. So keep it up.
Hey, you do all the work. You do all the work. Occasionally present an opportunity. So,
and we will be back. COVID is not going to keep us down.
No, for sure.
And let us know about that new name for the show.
Okay.
Yeah. This is your second time on. You're welcome anytime. Anytime you got something going, we want you to be on the show because it's always a great time.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tony. We'll see you soon.
Take care, Stoney.
Thanks, Tony. Bye.
Bye. Oh, that was fun.
What a guy.
That was.
Truly.
You know, and I didn't realize how short time he's been up here. And yeah, it's like,
that's
man.
what shocked me. Yeah.
Well, it's like Tom and Gay, just a year or so more maybe than him. But it's like, wow, all of a sudden, like you just said, what are you bringing to the community? And you all are bringing a lot.
A dynamo. That guy's. I can't wait until COVID is keeping us. Lets us back out again and see what he comes up with next.
We'll have a ton of great homegrown entertainment, won't we?
Yeah, it's that was good to have Stoney on, and really we need to keep in touch with him because he's always activating some new idea.
And he did an outstanding job with the students. It's not all fun and games. He as we didn't get into his personal story, but it kind of worked both ways. One of those deals. The more you give, the more you get.
Yep.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed sharing what I know with somebody, and then I learn more about it in that process. So yeah,
he really touched some of those students. So, speaking of great events, I just want to say again, Tom, we talked a little bit before we went on about Poetry Square, the monthly poetry event that our poet in residence Diane Funston's been putting on. You were one of the poets, one of the 4, including Diane, on this month's show the other night. Was that Thursday?
Thursday night.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Thursday night.
Just lovely. I mean, it's just such a relaxing format, and everybody takes their 15 minutes, and Diane, introduces everybody, and just great poetry. It was just, and she's got that national network. I mean, you and Diane are local, of course, but then these other people she brings in from, all over the country. It's just, anyway, just a great job. And we need to do more to sell it, I guess, and pump it up. And I don't want to take any of those things for granted. And it's
I would recommend it to people who are poetry lovers or not. She brings on some people that can make you think and make you follow the words and get something from it. So Diane Funston, she's another kind of unsung hero around here. I'm glad that she's coming forward and that she's hosting this, and people are having a chance to tune into her poetry, which is top notch.
Another relative newcomer, and she and her husband Roger have only been here for a couple of years, and just doing a great job. As far as upcoming activities, not a whole lot on the real front. We did have a wonderful, I would say it's kind of our swan song for actual events, but on Veterans Day, we hosted an art gallery opening reception. One of 2 days, the gallery, the show will be up, but we had 4 of our favorite veterans who are also professional artists. Aaron Burks, Bert Johnson, I'm going around the room. Brian Scholl and Chris Thompson, the ceramic artist, and they all brought some incredible work. They're working on different projects, and Brian Scholl spoke about his transition from SR-71 pilot to nature photographer.
His presentation was incredible.
No, that's right. You were there, Joe. Yeah.
Yeah, he used the planets, I believe was, and
Mars
and then
from the planets.
Yep, and his sequence of photographs, and like you said, just in 2 states here in California and in Nevada.
Yeah,
I think he said, but it was stunning, just incredible and well done. I mean, it was just you're mesmerized,
beautifully choreographed. He hit the crescendos. Yeah. Anyway, great show. We'll have Brian back. He's right here local, and then Aaron Burks, another local artist, Army and Navy veteran. Mm-hmm. And he's working on a project with us that's grant funded called Writing Giants, Pearl Harbor survivors then and now. He's creating portraits then and now of as many Pearl Harbor survivors as he can meet. Once again, thanks to COVID, his travel plans that we had scheduled have been cut short, but he's got 20 or 22 in the works where he's done the preliminary drawings, and now he's going to start working on the oil paintings. So great to have those artists and veterans on that very special day. And Tom, you've got Songwriter Workshop coming up on November 28th. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, that's right. Saturday.
Saturday at 1. And we're going to take December off, but we'll be here that Saturday after Thanksgiving. It's, it's virtual. And we're not doing a lot of jamming right now because you can't sync. I haven't been able to really sync that, but we welcome your songs, just your solo song presentations, and
Yeah.
just get some feedback from that. So
yeah, get in touch, and if anything we talk about in the next 10 minutes or so interests you, and we don't have all the details here on the screen, we can get it to you. Just call us at the office. We're in and out, throughout the day. We'll take a couple of days off this week, but we're pretty easy to find. Our personal cell phones are on the answering machine at work, so just call 742-2787 or look at YubaSutterArts.org. Let me just mention quickly that a week from or 2 weeks from today will be our last, I think, our last Art Radio Today show of the year, and we're going to have composer and musician Frank Sorja on.
good deal.
Many of you know Frank from his work, the OCD Band. Great group. Their whole reason to exist is to have fun playing music, of course, but they typically play fundraisers, and they've done a bunch of things for Sutter Arts and excuse me, lots of other organizations in the community. So Frank's a great guy, and even shows up occasionally this time of year as that jolly old elf.
Well,
yes,
I would like to let you know, just in case people are reaching out, he's taking this year off for obvious reasons. So,
I didn't know that. Thank you, Joe. I apologize, Frank, if you're watching. Yeah.
No, it's okay. And he understands his family would like him to be safe, and he's respecting their wishes.
Of course. What am I thinking? Silly me.
Yeah. So he's taking this year off. And honestly, I don't think there's going to be a lot of call for that. And
we need to get a cardboard cutout and put it in some central place on Plymouth Street. And
there's Zoom Santas. I'm involved with a couple things. I might be doing Zoom Santas.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And if you want to get a hold of the Arts Council, Shantae Arroyo.
Yes.
Wanted to point out that she's very vigilant about checking her social media right here, the Yuba Sutter Arts and Culture page. She will answer you. So if you want to just reach out a message, she will get back.
Another way to communicate with us. And Shantae's done a great job building our social media presence across all platforms. So.
Indeed.
Can I give a shout out to Sue Grau? This isn't a future thing. This Sue is one of another local treasure, a gem that we have in our community, who's involved with the Yuba Sutter Arts and Culture, and was featured on the front page of the Appeal this last week for her nature photography. She presents a lot of things on Facebook, posts a lot of photography. She's exquisite. Her work is exquisite. She captures something in these critters that she follows. She just takes her camera out. She described it to me as, I just walk for hours and take my camera with me and shoot everything I see. And but I think it's more than that, because sometimes she catches some bird just looking in a particular way where that bird's thinking about, I want that worm, or whatever it may be. Her nature stories tell pictures. And I just want to give her, Sue Grau, a shout out. She's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you, Tom.
Her work is wonderful.
Well, and she often posts very early in the morning. It's kind of part of her routine. And I'll tell you what, it's a great way to start your day with a cup of coffee. Look at a couple of Sue Grau bird photos, or she's got some deer photos she's been posting lately, and they're just makes you smile, makes you happy.
It does. She's very, very good. I'm glad she got that good.
Let me mention one more art show, and then you guys take us out talking about the Corona Comedy Concert. We do have it'll be a virtual event now because of the return to the Purple Zone, called COVID Stories. Our visual artist in residence, Tina Linville, put this together with some other other local artists, mainly from her art mentorship program. This is where Tina is working with not just young people, but including, in fact, Sue Grau is part of this mentorship program. It's artists at any level who want to kind of up their game. And so she works with them at wherever they are in their career as artists. And it's been phenomenal. We've been actually able to provide some studio space for a couple of young artists at our Kalakara Art Studios over in Yuba City, giving these young people, a chance to have a space to work away from home. Anyway, but we'll have some of that work in our gallery, and then we'll create a virtual event of some sort to share that artwork, because we can't open up again to the general public. So watch for that. It's called COVID Stories, Making Art in a Pandemic. We had hoped to have an opening gallery reception again, but we just can't risk it. But then kind of kind of embedded in that whole idea of the COVID and the pandemic inspiring art and creativity. Joe and Tom, tell us what you've got cooked up.
Joe, why don't you kick it off? You're the mainstay of this. I'm the assistant.
Well, so many months ago when this whole thing started, it was April, I think, I started writing parodies to common pop culture songs. I think I started with For What It's Worth by, Stephen Stills and those guys, and Buffalo Springfield. And I rewrote it to kind of comment on missing toilet paper, roles being reversed since men were staying home from work at the time. And basically I was striking a note with people. And then Tom and I started talking about maybe we could put it together in a show. And with the help of some friends who sang the songs for me on videos, and then Tom and myself have put together basically a series of parodies of common songs that have been changed to talk about COVID and some of the eccentricities that COVID has brought.
I thought it was an effort that we needed some humor. We needed some things to look at in a different way, because certainly everybody was scared. This was a new thing. And so Joe just kept pumping this stuff out, and I'd see it. And I liked what he was doing. I could see a thread of connection there. And so it's something that I feel good about being a part of. How we're going to actually film it is we talked about being in the studio with Joe and I live, and then the videos being formatted. I don't know, going purple, I don't know what's going to happen, but this show is going to happen on December 6th.
Yes.
And it was one way or the other, this show will be on, because we've kind of delayed this for a long time for one reason or another. And thinking, well, gee, maybe COVID will be gone by the time. Well, it's not. It's not. And we need humor more than ever. And so I'm glad to be part of this.
Well, and Tom, I actually my generator is back. For some reason I quit doing it. And recently I've come up with the title for a new song, Return to Slender.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, keep them coming. We can always lengthen the show.
Involved, or is it just you two? Or
Joe can tell you about the other musicians involved.
Actually, I have some of my friends that are a part of the Cadillac Ride. Ed Hudson, Rick McFall has sang a couple of them for me, as well as Kelly Barber Cunningham.
Oh, fun!
Pinky,
And Tom and Gay, and there. And then I've
what about Pinky? Pinky Redo, is she?
Pinky is still in SAC, and I think we're trying to record. We just started, and I had a StreamYard app, and I was able to record them, and somehow or another in the process I lost it, along with the Johnson Grass videos, because I had them as well. But we're gonna go with what we got. Just like Tom said, we've been putting it off, and I've got it so we can do subtitles so people can hear or read the words, because it's really hard, honestly, if you're trying to listen to somebody that's singing different lyrics to your favorite song. Your brain doesn't want to accept it. So it helps if you can read it. Tom pointed this out.
Yeah.
First. And it's like, okay, I'll see if I can do that. And I've actually figured out how to go about that. So
that's great.
We're right now with the pandemic and the Purple Zone, some of the stuff we've had to do online and just talk about the show. And now even more with the Purple Zone, and people are talking about other people getting exposed. I'm starting to hear stories that are getting a little closer to home for me. Nothing specifically, but are you guys feeling that too? That it's kind of it hasn't gone away. It hasn't gone away. So we're going to be really careful how we put this show on, but we're going to put this show on. And it's going to be December 6th. And I'm going to turn another year older that day.
What? Really? It's your birthday? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's my birthday. Yeah.
Hey, that's how I'm celebrating. Guys, though, that being said, Tom, I want to applaud both of you, Abby, Shantae. We have responded. COVID has tried to shut down everything that is important to us, and we have and will continue to respond. And I applaud you, and I applaud all of you that keep us alive with this, because this is what we got right now. We don't have another venue. We don't have another way of sharing, and well, we keep at it.
Well, thank you, Joe. And, the engagement has been there. I mean, we get, a couple hundred folks looking at things like this. That's more than our little theater would hold,
Oh, yeah.
So it's worked both ways. There's, as painful as it's been, there have been some lessons learned. So thanks for pointing that out. We'll keep doing it as long as we have to. And we got lots more planned in December. We'll talk about next show, like Applause Home for the Holidays. We've got our youth, Applause Kids youth program coming back with another show called Holiday Happiness,
which was awesome, by the way. Big applause to you guys for that.
Oh, yeah, if you haven't seen, yeah, very good. I know. Sorry, but wait, this is your day job. Keep in mind, YubaSutterArts, we've got this stuff. Of course, it's always stored on our Facebook page, but you can go right to our YubaSutterArts YouTube channel and look these things up. If you haven't seen Super Happy Awesome News, or if you want to look up a particular artist we've interviewed on this show or Artist Alchemy, it's all there. And plus last year's Applause Home for the Holidays. Lots of entertaining clips from all your hometown favorites. So it's there for your viewing. Great thing to do while you're sitting around and looking for some new content on your computer or big screen TV.
Yeah, stream us. Don't stream those other shows. Stream us.
Yeah, that's right.
So one more show for us this year, and then we'll be back in January. Is that right?
Yeah.
And we continue to enjoy bringing this information to you. We hope it's helpful to all of you who are listening now or will tune into us later in the week. We just want to keep you informed. We just want you coming out or staying in, but certainly supporting the arts.
Indeed.
No. Yeah, thank you, Tom. Talk about a challenge. Just one more note. We're putting together our calendar for next year. How do you do that? How do you imagine that? Like, let's say it's going to be virtual or it's going to be real, unless it's not.
There's no plan. Right now, there is no plan. Just do what you can do.
Honestly. We will.
My wife has been improvising jazz music for years and years. I think COVID has taught us all to improvise. So not on her level, but certainly we'll figure out something. If we open up in June, we'll change the calendar or toss it out, because it's going to be different. And we'll open up soon.
Jim Valvado, the basketball coach.
Oh yeah.
Never give up. Never, ever, ever give up.
Here.
Good ending.
Okay, everybody.
See you in 2 weeks.
Thanks for watching.
All right, my friends.
Take care. Bye.